Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Adam's Music Box, where today we're going to celebrate a very special birthday because one of my very favorite musicians of all time in any genre was born on this day. He sadly died in 2021. Totally unexpectedly to me, but of course, he will live on as a legend in music. And this, of course, is the wonderful Chick Corea, one of the very best pianists of any genre and of all time. And few would disagree with him, whether they're pianists themselves, musicians themselves, or music lovers. He was a musician's musician, and that his approach to music was both an educational and enlightening experience for other musicians. People would go to listen to Chick to find out where the piano and where the electric keyboards were going, because his approach was a balance between harmony, dissonance, and the resolution of the two. All of his playing was very much exciting. It drew you in, and there was so much range, whether you're talking about dynamic range. He could play exciting when it was very quiet, he could play exciting when it was very loud. He had range within genres. He could play traditional bebop. He could play avant-garde. He could play fully improvised music. He could compose in the neoclassical realm. He could perform the great classical composers from Bach to the great Scriabin, of whom he was a huge fan. He could, of course, play and pioneer jazz fusion. And we've got pictured behind me what's probably, if I had to choose, because I love it all, my favorite Chick Corea project, and this would be the classic lineup of Return to Forever, a band that, along with Weather Report and Mahavishnu Orchestra, Life Tony Williams' Lifetime, and Larry Coryell's 11th House, were really one of those stalwarts that kind of put jazz rock fusion, jazz funk rock fusion, a bit of all of it on the map. And Chick was always collaborating with some of the best artists ever. The debut album of the Joe Farrell Quintet, or Quartet rather, was from 1970. A great, great album. You'll recognize it by that wonderful close-up of the lit match on the cover, and Chick plays wonderfully on the album. His stuff with Gary Burton, piano and vibes, absolutely the stuff of legend. His solo piano stuff, the stuff of legend. The stuff that he did just 10 years before his death with the great drummer Roy Haynes, with the great bassist Christian McBride, and the wonderful saxophonist Kenny Garrett. It's on YouTube. That is absolutely wonderful. There's nothing he did that wasn't good, whether he was playing in the electric realm or the acoustic realm. And he was so equally profound at both that in the 80s he even had the Chick Corea Electric with a K band, and with some of the same people he would form the Chick Corea Acoustic Band and do a bit of everything. What made Chick so special was that he combined a very humane approach to music with an insane amount of virtuosity. And yet, in spite of this towering virtuosity, his personality really went into every note he played, the cultures that he interacted with and that he was derived from went into every note. Of course, his full name, Armando Chick Corea, obviously Latino culture, Hispanic culture, a huge part of his musical DNA. But he, as I said, was equally comfortable in all of these genres. It was Miles Davis who first introduced him to keyboards that plugged in to a source of electricity. And at first, like many, he was skeptical about it, but he really took it on and became one of the best synthesizer players in all of jazz, along with Herbie Hancock. And this was, of course, something that he showcased frequently with this classic Return to Forever lineup, which featured Stanley Clarke on bass, Lenny White on drums, and first Bill Connors, and later Al Di Meola on guitar. What a band that is! If you're someone who's not really, if you're someone who sees jazz as a four-letter word, because a lot of critics like to promote bad jazz and boring jazz, jazz and you want to sort of ease yourself in, just listen to any of the Electric Return to Forever albums and you'll think this rocks because it does. But it's also just as virtuosic as any of the more acoustic or dynamically less electric music that Chick did. Chick's death left a big hole in the jazz world. By that time, Keith Jarrett, a contemporary of Chick, had already retired due to sad health problems, although he's luckily still alive. But many others had gone. From that great generation, really, Herbie Hancock is really the only one left. And so I was fortunate enough to see Chick several times when he was alive, and each time felt not only like a wonderful music experience, but almost like a spiritual experience. And I know that that's sort of overplayed, but there was something about his playing that just felt meditative yet exciting at the same time. It was the kind of music equally designed for people seeking that experience, people who were seeking to just learn about music, and people who were just seeking to hear something that sounded really amazing and really fun. He always delivered, and he was also a great listener. Um, this is another sort of cliche that musicians always tell each other. The great musicians are great listeners. Yeah, I know, Dad. I know, Mom. But no, but honestly, you can tell by the way he musically interacts and even the visual cues he's giving and taking from the other musicians that every Chick Corea concert is unique because of the way he's interacting with the other musicians on stage, what they're feeling at a given time and place, what they're feeling in terms of their interaction with other musical personalities on stage. He may well be the best listener ever, which is what made him such a good adapter and improviser and a great composer, because some of the songs that he's written have become jazz standards, funk standards, fusion standards. He was a great, great man and a great, great musician. So there's plenty of music to choose from. Definitely listen to some Chick Corea today. You'll love it. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Take care.